Well, the thing about it, a lot of people ask, what are apps? Well, if you look back, you'll find that we had phones that were just primarily used for talking. Actually, not primary, but that was used for talking. And of course, they later introduced cameras and some other things that allowed it to become a more versatile instrument. But as time passed, we found ourselves amazed at some of the things we could do with the phone just based on being able to take pictures and then being able to share those pictures, which soon opened the floodgates to all kinds of possibilities, particularly after the Apple iPhone came into existence. It allowed you to do so many more things. And so that was really the beginning of using what I refer to the smartphone for everything. But today, many people look to their phones for quick information about locating places to eat, finding a address, or going for friends, accessing your bank account. Cell phones just allow you really to find your way when you're lost, connecting to the web, besides making phone calls. So this afternoon, we're just going to look at some of the ones which I've become to rely on for my own personal use. And these are things that I can use in my household to control devices, ones that I can use to do other things. So this hopefully will give you some ideas. And always remember that you can always go to the App Store if you have an iPhone, or you can go to the Google Play Store if you have a Android device, and you can go to the Windows Store if you have a Windows phone. So don't let your imagination run wild. And if you're thinking about something like, I wonder if I can do this on my phone, go and look and see if there's an app that you can use to make that happen. So finding and installing apps on your Android device, as I said before, you can shop and install apps from the Google Play Store. If you have an iPhone, you can do that from the App Store. But primarily, we'll be talking about what's available on the Android. Apps are designed for mobile screens. In other words, they will be designed so they fit the smaller screens. And that allows you not to have to scroll up and down on the device rather than swipe to get to the next screen. They have a small footprint, so in other words, they don't take up a lot of space. And they're quick and fast and responsive. So this is a picture of the Google Play Store. And as you can see, it has a variety of, it has a search box, excuse me, that you can use to search for a particular app. You do not have to know the name of that app, just know the function. Say, for instance, if you want to do word processing, type word processing. If you want to find music, type music. If you want to find games, type games. Now this will give you a broad range of apps that you can download. So you have to then just kind of browse through them to find one that specifically meets your needs. They're usually categorized in, they'll tell you a little bit about what the app will do. They also will give you some ratings. And you can look at the ratings to see how well others look, how others feel about this particular app, whether it's worth the download or not. But I find sometimes that I'll just go ahead and download one that I feel that it's something I need, even though it may not have a good rating. I'll just rate it myself, and if it meets my needs, and I'm good with it. If not, always remember you can always uninstall that particular application that you downloaded, and it will be no harm done to your device. Most of the apps are free. Always look and see if there is a cost associated with them. I found that on the Android ones particularly, very few are those published with a trial version. So you're either in for the full, either having to pay for it or it'll be free. So you've purchased a new Android smartphone, and as days pass, you feel that it likes some extensive and attractive best Android apps. Maybe you have been using an Android smartphone for a long time and feel that you need some Android tricks to help tweak your phone. Whatever the reason, you're really aching for a useful Android app which will make your smartphone more interactive. And as you can see from the example here, there's a wide range of apps available, and some of those will sync with your desktop, and we'll show you some of those where if you have Dropbox, for instance, which is an app which I'll discuss later, it actually will sync with your anything that you save on your desktop to Dropbox. You'll be able to access it from your smartphone. So Android has risen to become an ever-growing market in which every day there are new and interactive apps for you to download. This pushes the developers to create useful Android apps which make work and life more fun and easy. Of course, there are countless apps in the Play Store, but not every one of them would be crowd favorites. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that I use every day. These apps allow me to be more productive and make my phone extremely, in my opinion, useful. So one of the things is MS Office, Microsoft Office for mobile devices. Like the name suggests, it is a full-blown version of Office. And if you use these apps in conjunction with OneDrive, that means anything that you create on your PC and save to OneDrive, you will be able to access that from your mobile device. So there are examples of Word, there's Excel, and there's PowerPoint. When I was traveling a couple weeks ago and I was preparing this presentation, I did have it on Dropbox. On OneDrive. And I was able to access that PowerPoint presentation from my smartphone. So, in a lot of instances, you probably can think of a lot of ways how you can use this to your advantage. Say, for instance, if you have a list of medications that you frequently have to type and revise and take them to the doctor's office, you don't necessarily have to give them a hard copy, just be able to relate what you actually are taking. Then you can make a spreadsheet on your PC, and you probably already have done that, and you can save that to OneDrive and then use your phone to access that information. So that's just one example. There's probably other ones that you can think of. Depends on actually what you do on your day-to-day basis, that how you would use that. You can build your shopping list the same way and just have one document that you can share between devices. How many times do you receive a email that happens to have a PDF attached to it? There is a PDF reader that's available in the Play Store that will allow you to read those documents. So you can not only read them, but you also can do a lot of other things with it besides. As you can see, and maybe hopefully you can, but you can create a PDF, you can export a PDF, you can do a number of things with that mobile application, and it's a free app. So you can reliably view and annotate your PDFs, and you also can access them from your device or from the cloud. Because you could save a PDF from your PC and then load it up to the cloud storage and be able to access that from your device. I mentioned Dropbox before in conjunction with using OneDrive. I'd like to say that Dropbox integrates seamlessly with Microsoft Office. So you can use either one. If you save things to Dropbox, then you can also access those from your phone. The Dropbox application that you install on your phone is the same one that you install on your PC. You have to use the same user ID and password for them to be synced together. So you do not want to create a new password. I'm sorry, you do not want to create a new user ID and password when you are asked to do so when you download the software, or the app. What you want to do is just log in with your current user ID and password that you use on your PC. So in that way, you can be able to access those from your phone. Another app that's become helpful to me, and this is one I was just recently introduced to, it's called TrueCaller. And I don't know if you get phone calls on your smartphone that you have no idea who they happen to be, or you'd like to know who they are when they call. It's a caller ID that is a free software, and it will help you identify unknown numbers, and as well as you can be able to block them if they're unwanted. So you can go into the App Store and find TrueCaller, caller ID, and block, and it's also free. Give it a try. You might find it very useful. I know in my case, I have Verizon, and they actually charge for the caller ID app that's included, that's bundled with their phone service. You can go out and download that, but it's a subscription that you have to pay so much a month for. If you're one of those fortunate people that don't have to pay, then you're okay. But if you need one that's free, this would be an acceptable alternative. Another app that's becoming popular is the ability to have instant mobile messages. Now, this is called WhatsApp Messenger. It is similar to the messenger that you use for texting, but the added bonus to this one is that it also allows you to make free phone calls as well as do texting. So this might be something you might be interested in if you talk to people long distance and would like to use something that's free on your cell phone. You need an internet connection, but other than that, the only charge that you'd actually be using is data. Now, the thing about it, if you use Wi-Fi, then you have no charge. You were able to make phone calls and video calls for free. So the best use this is using it with Wi-Fi, and because it will use data. And I keep in touch with, I've made friends with some people in a country I travel to frequently, and we communicate back and forth this way very nicely. For those of you that happen to have a Windows 10 computer and you're very familiar with Cortana. Now, Cortana is your own personal assistant, and it works exactly like the one that's on the Windows 10 machine. In fact, it will integrate with them. It will sync. So whatever you use Cortana for on your PC, you have the exact same information available to you. So it has a voice button. You can ask it questions exactly like you do on your PC, and it will do reminders. It's really it brings the Android on par with Siri and surpasses it for those people that are familiar with Apple or have an iPad that uses Siri. You can do the same exact thing on your Android phone using Cortana. So I would really recommend that you download this, and you might find it really handy in a lot of ways. Now here again, this is one of those apps that you will want to use the exact same user ID and password. Of course, in this case, you'll want to use your Microsoft account user ID and password, because then that will allow Cortana to sync up with your PC. And it's available whenever you need it. You just say, ask or Cortana a question, and you get the information that you're seeking. Now here's something that I found really handy, and it's called the Mobile Passport. If you do any kind of international travel or have occasion to do so, you can set up your passport onto your phone and use it when you come through customs. In other words, you can do all the declarations right from the phone as to how much you're carrying, what the value is, the standard questions that's on the form. You can answer those on your phone. And when you arrive at the destination, you just go ahead, actually an hour before you arrive at the destination, you can go ahead and fill that out, complete that. And I find it a lot easier to complete than using the forms on the plane. And then when you get to your port of entry, you go through a separate line rather than go to the regular passport checkpoint. You'll go through one that will say Mobile Passport. It'll have this little guy up here that you see with his arm outstretched in the airplane. It looks like the logo that you'll find identifying the application. You just follow that sign, and you'll then go directly to the customs officer, and he has a scanner there. You just scan the information onto your using your phone, and you then go complete your customs declarations. Very similar to what you use if anyone's used the downloaded their boarding pass to their for their flight to their phone. The scanner is very similar to that. So what happens is that you skip the line at the airport when entering the USA with your mobile passport. It's officially authorized by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Allows travelers to submit their passport control and custom declaration information via their Android device and bypass the regular line to enter the United States. So it effectively replaces the traditional blue and white paper declaration form required of all travelers entering the United States. That's the one that the stewardess passes out to you as you before your arrival at your destination. You just complete it, answer the questions, submit the information through your LAN, and you get a receipt, which shows up on your phone, because it'll ask you to submit it from your phone. You just press submit, and it'll come back with a confirmation, and that's what you use to show the CBP officer when you arrive at his station. Another app is the U.S. Post Office mobile app. Now, this is one that I found extremely handy, because if you're in a rush, sometimes you forget to do alert the post office to stop your mail, particularly if you're going to be gone for a week or more, and you're at the airport. Says, "Oh my goodness, I forgot to stop the mail." Well, you can take this app and do just that. You can go in and schedule the period of time that you're going to be away, and do it all from your phone. So if I'm at the airport and I forgot, I can't stop the mail for that day that I'm traveling, but I can stop it for the following day and the rest of the duration of my trip. So that's one of the benefits from using this application. But you also can use it for tracking packages. You can buy stamps. You can do a variety of things, as you can see here on the left side, where it shows the different functions. The one that I'm referring to is holding mail. But also you can look up zip codes, just a variety of things. So it's really a well worth download, and it's also free. So you can find the post office or an approved postal provider. As I said, look up zip codes. You can calculate shipping prices, schedule pickups, scan labels, hold your mail, and then use also the United States Post Office tracking tool anywhere you go. If you are trying to learn a language, I've been trying to learn Spanish, and I have been using this application. It's called the Lingo, and what it allows me to do is practice my Spanish. It asks questions, and I have to respond back or write them in the response boxes. It will correct your grammar, pronunciation, and it gives you a test, and you can take it as often as you use it, as often as you like, for practice purposes. And once you finish the basic course, you can go to the next level. Just a variety of things that you can learn using this application. It's also, you can use it as a game. So it's something that if you're trying to learn another language, this is a good way to start. And not only is Spanish offered, there's French, and plus there's probably 25 or 30 more languages that's included. It's just not those two are the most popular, but there's other language, Italian, Greek, etc. So that's something that you might want to look into if you're trying to learn another language, either because you're traveling to those particular countries, or you just want to learn language just for your own benefit. And I don't know if many of you know that your phone, I didn't put this in here, but there's such thing as called Google Translate. And I have used that a lot. And if I'm trying to communicate with a individual that doesn't speak English very well, and of course I don't speak their language either, I can type my question or my phrase into the Google Translator, and it will convert it to the language I'm trying to communicate in. So what we end up essentially doing is just passing cell phones back and forth. I'll type my question in and reach the phone because it'll be translated to the language that that person speaks. They will type in the answer in their language, and it will translate it back to English for me to read. And so we conduct a conversation between the two of us, rather silently, but we still can communicate. So that's something to consider if you're ever in a situation where you need to communicate with a person that doesn't speak your language. Bring up Google Translate. And now that's standard on your phone because all you need to do is use the Google search box and type in translate, and it will bring up the application. PayPal. PayPal has a mobile application that allows you to send money or pay online to almost anywhere in the world in just seconds. So you can manage all the ways you send, receive, and spend money at a glance. So if you use PayPal and for anything, you can use it via your phone and do the exact same things as you would online. You log in with your account, and it will bring up your activities that you've had or done. You can then send money or request money, do anything that you can do on your computer, you can do from your mobile device. So in closing, these are what I consider must-have Android apps. And if you feel that they're suitable for your interest, download one or more to your Android smartphone. Your phone is already smart. You can make it smarter when you tailor it to your usage and needs. Now, these are some of the apps that attendees have shared. CareZone, managed medications and doctor's instructions. There's also Dragon Mobile Assistant, which is a takeoff of the Dragon application where you can use it for a variety of things besides just making dictation. There's Drippler. It's a tech support, get fast export tech support and discover useful features and apps and updates for your Android phone. That's Flickster, trailers, Rotten Tomatoes, scores, and movie tickets by Fandango. You can check out the latest movie if you're deciding you're going to take in a movie and you're out and about. You can go to that particular application and see whether the Apple or whether the that particular movie is something you're interested in. It'll also show you where it's being played. And then Gas Buddy has a wealth of information about the gas stations in your surrounding area. Has the cheapest prices and where they're located. There's the VLC media player. If you want to watch a video, then the Video LAN or VLC media player is very similar to the one that's on your PC. Then we're talking about the little one that has the clown hat. There's Waze, which is a GPS application. There's the Wi-Fi Analyzer tool, which will show you the Wi-Fi channels that are in your vicinity. And then if you really want to add a lot of the fun things to your phone, such as ringtones and wallpaper, then there's Zedge. Now to get to these, you can go to just type into the Play Store the name of these particular applications, and it'll bring up the screen where you can download them. For the most part, these are free. But if you want to get the premium versions, you may have to pay $1, $2 for them. So I'm open for questions at this point, and I can explain some of these in more detail if that's something that you want, or whatever you wish to ask.
Yeah, if you have some questions for Bill, you can use your chat box and ask them. Also, we have some people have submitted some suggestions for apps that Bill might look into and add to his collection. So if anybody has any additional apps, you can go ahead and submit those. Your first question, does the Passport app work for Canadians returning to Canada?
I don't believe so. I believe it is just a U.S. passport application. So you have to have a U.S. passport to use it.
There might be possibly, if they did some search, find
one that pertains to Canada, but this one is strictly for the one that I showed you is strictly for your U.S. passport.
Good, thanks. Good question. So if you think of a question, we will submit questions after we close the presentation to Bill, and then he will add those back. Just to kind of let you know, Bill, what's being added, there's a program called GPS Status and
yes. Okay.
SMS Backup.
Okay.
Here's another good question for you. Many of these apps want access to your files, especially if you are syncing files with your home PC. Does this raise any concern for your security?
That's a really good question. When you download an app, you will find a standard list of questions. Like it says, do you want this app to access your camera? Do you want it to access your documents, etc.? And I believe, in my mind, that is just a standard question that's part of when they develop the application. They don't create those questions. Those are something that they use from a template that Google provides them. So they just put that into their programming, and so it's left to us to answer those questions. What I do, I think about the app that I'm downloading. Does it really need to have access to my camera? Does it need to have access to my address book? Does it need to have access to the location function? So let's say, for instance, if I'm going to download a application for a CVS. CVS has this application where they can allow me to go in and order my subscriptions. I don't know if there's one that exists, but the business of example. So think about it. If CVS is going to be able to, if this app is going to be able to function properly, it's going to need the location because it needs to know where I am. It's going to need possibly my camera because it might need I might need to take a picture of the script that the doctor wrote. It may need try to think of another, but those two would be one of the things that I would say yes to.
Maybe access to your phone, so they could call you if there's a problem.
Right. and that's another good example. But what I'm getting at, and John, thank you for helping, is that when you're downloading the app, as you're allowing access to those, you use your judgment as to what it's going to be used for. And so if you don't allow them to do that, and you find that you have problems doing some of the functions, what you need to do is go into the application manager, and you can turn those functions back on and see if that works, if that improves the functionality of the application that you've loaded. Now, the question that I think you're really most concerned about is the privacy aspect, and I can't really answer that for you. You have to be the judge. Now, personally, I don't have any real concerns about that, because I am careful as to what I want my application to access. So for me personally, it hasn't been an issue, and it hasn't been a problem either. So I think that you can be pretty confident that what you're doing on your phone is about as secure as what you would be doing on your computer or your laptop.
Does it also go back to where you're getting your apps?
Well, that is a true statement also, but in the case of Android, they're not nearly as particular about their applications as the ones that are in the Apple App Store, although they're getting there. One of the things that you cannot do on an Android, you cannot download third-party applications to the phone unless you go into the settings and turn that feature off, which says allow third-party apps to be installed on this phone. So if you deliberately check that box to turn it off, then it allows you to download anything to it. But by default, that's turned off. So you can't do it knowingly. You can't knowingly download third-party applications unless you specifically give it permission to do so. I haven't had a problem with viruses or malware with my phone or any of those things since I've used one, and I think I've had a phone that I've used for at least 6 years now, maybe 7. I was kind of an early adopter, so I haven't had any difficulty with it.